The day my younger brother won the lottery, everybody in the family suddenly started talking about destiny like they had always believed in it. And I remember sitting in the corner of the restaurant watching people who hadn't called him in years suddenly remember his birthday, his favorite food, his childhood stories, and every little detail they had forgotten when he was broke. And the strangest part wasn't the money, it was how quickly people's personalities changed when they thought opportunity was sitting at the table. At first it looked harmless because everybody was smiling and laughing and raising glasses and talking about family. But the more the night went on, the more I realized nobody was really talking to him. They were talking to what they imagined he could do for them. And every conversation slowly turned into a request disguised as concern, and every compliment sounded suspiciously expensive. My brother had always been the quiet one, and maybe that's why he didn't notice it immediately. Or maybe he noticed and didn't want to believe it, because believing people love you is always easier than accepting they love what you have. And for a few months, everything looked perfect from the outside, while problems quietly started growing underneath. The bass rolled through the speakers at a family gathering one weekend, while cousins and uncles and distant relatives filled the house pretending nothing had changed. But everything had changed, and I could see it in the way people laughed a little harder at his jokes and listened a little more carefully to his opinions, and suddenly agreed with ideas that would have ignored a year earlier. Band for band, but the pressure stayed different, because money doesn't just buy things, it reveals things. And the more money entered the room, the more masks started falling off, and every hidden motive that had spent years sleeping comfortably suddenly woke up at the same time. One cousin wanted investment money, and another wanted help buying a business, and another wanted support with debt, and another needed a loan for an emergency that somehow appeared the same week the lottery money did. And every request came wrapped inside a story, and every story came wrapped inside emotion, and every emotion came wrapped inside guilt. Months passed, and my brother kept saying yes because he believed helping people will make everybody happy. But happiness built on expectation is fragile, and expectations grow faster than gratitude. And eventually people stopped appreciating what he gave because they became busy calculating what he hadn't given yet. Now the rhythm starts accelerating because every favor creates another favor, and every request creates another request, and every compromise creates another compromise, until the entire situation begins moving faster than anybody can control. And suddenly the same people who praised him started criticizing, because he finally said no. The family group chats became arguments, and the dinners became negotiations, and the smiles became performances. And it was almost unbelievable watching people who once called him generous suddenly called him selfish, simply because he stopped giving them access to something they never earned. The city lights reflected through the restaurant windows one night while my brother sat across from me, looking more exhausted than happy. And for the first time since everything happened, he admitted he missed the version of life where people spoke to him without wanting something in return. And that sentence stayed with me because it sounded heavier than all the money people spent months talking about. Most people dream about becoming rich, but they imagine freedom. But nobody talks about the responsibility of learning who genuinely cares about you when your circumstances change. And nobody talks about how difficult it becomes to separate love from opportunity once enough money enters the picture. Now the pressure keeps building, and the lessons keep connecting, and every experience starts revealing another truth, because money never changes character as much as it exposes it. And the people who valued him before the lottery still valued him afterward, while the people who only valued access slowly disappeared the moment boundaries appeared. A year later, the family gatherings became smaller and quieter and more honest, and many of the people who once crowded around him stopped showing up completely. But strangely enough, he looked happier than before, because peace arrived at the exact moment expectations left. And whenever people talk about luck now, I think about him, because the biggest lesson wasn't that money can change your life, it was that money can reveal your life. And sometimes seeing people clearly is worth more than anything printed on a lottery ticket.
Oh no, oh no.
Walked in with a calm face, but the whole place shifted. I was built from the pressure they folded under, while I treated every setback like conditioning. Everybody got opinions till the situation turns critical, and suddenly the confidence missing. I don't waste energy proving I'm different, because the results keep speaking before I even enter the building. Back then they laughed when the vision sounded bigger than the room could handle. Now the same people watching every move, trying to understand how the plan got assembled. I stayed dangerous with patience, stay focused through phases, stayed moving through mazes, while they kept changing directions, chasing attention, breaking momentum, making excuses and calling it effort. I
don't move loud, I move precise. Every step calculated, like money on a ledger. Every risk measured, every lesson treasured. Every scar turned into something that made me better. You can hear it in the cadence, feel it in the tension. See it in the way they freeze when the name gets mentioned. I don't need validation from strangers, because I already survived situations that would have broken their spirit. Too many actors playing bosses, too many captions pretending they're ruthless. Too many chains and watches covering insecurities nobody notices. I can see through the image, see through the gimmicks, see through the stories they built for the internet. Cause when the pressure arrives and the lights disappear, character becomes the only thing left. Now the pace getting faster, the flow getting sharper, the room getting smaller, the target getting larger. Every competitor looking exhausted, while I keep adding another chapter, another layer, another reason they panic whenever they hear that bass through the speaker. I came from the side when nobody expected success, where every dream sounded unrealistic and every ambition got questioned. So I learned how to build without applause, learned how to win without attention, learned how to stay dangerous in silence while everybody else was busy announcing intentions. Run that back, because they missed it. I was never interested in temporary hype or artificial status. I wanted something lasting, something massive, something they couldn't copy after watching for 5 minutes. That's the difference, that's the distance between talking and living, between posting and building, between wanting and doing. That was straight pressure, straight motion, straight focus. No slowing, no folding, no folding. Somebody opens the door because I already kicked mine open. Every doubt got buried, every obstacle carried, every challenge turned into fuel for another level. They said it's impossible, and when they ask what changed, tell them nothing changed except the scale. The hunger stayed, the discipline stayed, the work stayed, the vision stayed. And that's exactly why the scoreboard changed.
Summer heat was hanging over the neighborhood when the old grocery store at the end of the street finally closed its doors. And most people walked past without thinking much about it, because to them, it was just another small business disappearing. But to me, it felt like watching a piece of my childhood disappear, because that store had been there longer than some of the buildings around it, and the owner knew almost everybody by name. Mr. Han opened that place before I was born and spent decades standing behind the same counter, greeting the same customers and helping the same families. And when somebody couldn't afford groceries, he quietly wrote the amount in a notebook and told them to pay later. And somehow later always arrived, because trust was worth more back then than contracts. Business started slowing down when a giant supermarket opened across town, because convenience usually wins and price usually wins, and people rarely notice what they're losing while they're saving a little money. And every month there seemed to be fewer customers walking through the door and more empty hours waiting behind the register. One afternoon I stopped by after work and found him sitting alone on a stool, staring at shelves that were only half full. And for the first time he looked tired in a way I had never seen before, because physical exhaustion disappears after rest, but disappointment stays awake much longer. And the silence inside that store felt strange, because I remembered when it used to be full of conversations and laughter. Bass drifted from a car parked outside while sunlight came through the front window and covered the floor in long shadows. And for a moment everything felt frozen between past and future, because everybody knew the store was struggling, but nobody wanted to admit how the story would end. Band for band, but the pressure felt different, because this wasn't about dreams getting bigger. It was about something valuable slowly disappearing, and watching that happen taught me that loss doesn't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it arrived quietly, one customer at a time. Weeks passed and rumors spread, and eventually the closing announcement appeared on the front door. And suddenly people who hadn't visited in years started showing up, saying how sad it was, and talking about memories and wishing things had turned out differently. And the irony was painful, because support arrived at the exact moment it could no longer change anything. Closing day felt heavier than anybody expected, because the line stretched outside the building and people kept bringing flowers and cards and old photographs, and everybody wanted to say thank you for something they should have appreciated sooner. And watching that happen made me realize how often people wait until the end to express gratitude. Tears filled Mr. Han's eyes when he looked around the store for the final time, because every shelf and every corner carried decades of memories. And suddenly the place stopped looking like a business and started looking like a lifetime of effort compressed into 4 walls. Pressure built inside my chest while I stood there, because the story felt bigger than one grocery store. It felt like a reminder that nothing stays forever, and that ordinary things often become important only after they're gone. And that realization hit harder than I expected. Months later the building was empty, and the sign had been removed, and somebody else eventually rented the space. But every time I walked past I still looked toward the front window, because habits survive longer than places do.
and memories survive longer than both. Life kept moving the way life always does, and the neighborhood kept changing, and new businesses opened and old ones disappeared. But I never forgot that final day, because it taught me something important, and that's the fact that appreciation delayed too long eventually becomes regret. Years have gone by since then, and I still think about that store. Whenever somebody tells me they'll call a friend later, or visit a parent next month, or thank somebody another time, because another time is never guaranteed, and opportunities often disappear quietly before anyone realizes they're running out. And the lesson left behind by that little grocery store still follows me everywhere, because the things that matter most are usually the things people assume will always be there.
Rain was falling so hard that night. The road outside looked more like a river than in a street. And my mother kept calling my older sister over and over while pretending she wasn't worried. But everybody in the house knew something was wrong, because she had never missed a family dinner before, and she had never ignored calls for this long. And as the hours passed, the silence started feeling heavier than the storm outside. Nobody could have guessed that a single decision made months earlier was already changing all of our lives, because problems rarely arrive the day they begin. They arrive long after the choices that created them. And my sister had been carrying a secret for almost a year, while smiling through birthdays and holidays and ordinary afternoons like nothing was wrong. She had borrowed money from people she should never have trusted, because she believed one lucky opportunity would solve everything. And at first the numbers looked small enough to manage, and the promises sounded convincing enough to believe. But every bad decision created another bad decision, and every deadline created another excuse, until the entire situation became too large to hide. Bass rolled through the speakers of a passing car while we waited for news and watched the rain hit the windows. And I remember thinking how strange it was that the city kept moving normally while our family felt frozen in place, because life never pauses. Once somebody is struggling, it just keeps moving forward and expects you to keep up, band for band. But the pressure felt different, because this wasn't about ambition, and it wasn't about success. It was about fear, and fear changes people faster than almost anything else, because fear convinces good people to make desperate choices, and desperate choices usually come with expensive consequences. Around midnight, my sister finally answered the phone, and the voice sounded smaller than I could ever heard before. And for the first time she stopped pretending everything was fine, and told the truth about the debt and the threats and the months she spent trying to solve the problem alone, because she was too ashamed to ask for help. Anger filled the room for a moment and then disappeared almost immediately, because anger becomes difficult to hold when somebody you love is already carrying more pain than you can imagine. And suddenly nobody cared about if it was right or wrong anymore, because survival became more important than blame. Pressure kept building, and the conversation kept getting heavier, and every hidden detail revealed another hidden detail, because secrets always travel in groups. And the more we learned, the clearer it became that silence had nearly destroyed someone who spent her entire life trying to protect everybody else. Morning arrived slowly, and the storm finally started fading. For the first time in months, my sister wasn't carrying the weight by herself anymore, and nothing was magically fixed, and none of the problems disappeared overnight. But something important had changed, because truth had finally entered a situation that had been controlled by fear. Months later, we were still dealing with consequences, and still paying for mistakes, and still rebuilding trust. But every difficult conversation felt easier than the silence that came before it, because silence gives problems space to grow, while honesty gives people a chance to fight back. Life eventually moved forward the way it always does, and the city kept glowing, and the traffic kept flowing, and ordinary days returned. But I never forgot that night, because it taught me something most people learn too late, and that's the fact that pride can become a prison when it stops people from asking for help. Years have passed since then, and my sister laughs more now than she did back then. That every time our family sits together around the same table, I think about how close we came to losing somebody, simply because she believed carrying pain alone was stronger than sharing it. And that lesson still follows me everywhere, because when burdens become lighter, the moment they're spoken out loud. The call came at 6 in the morning while the city was still half asleep, and the sky hadn't decided whether it wanted to be night or day. And when I picked up the phone, all I heard was my mother's voice breaking apart between words as she told me my father had collapsed at work. And for a second, everything around me went silent, because there are moments that split your life into before and after, and you never realize you're standing inside one until it's already happened. The hospital corridors felt longer than roads and colder than winter, and every minute felt heavier than the one before it. And
And while machines kept beeping and doctors kept moving and strangers kept walking past like it was an ordinary day, my entire world had stopped inside a single room behind a single door. And all I could think about was the fact that I hadn't spoken to my father properly in almost a year, because we spent so much time arguing that we forgot how to talk. The truth is I blamed him for everything when I was younger. I blamed him for not having enough money, and I blamed him for being too strict, and I blamed him for never understanding me. And every argument became like a brick in a wall neither of us knew how to tear down. And eventually silence became easier than conversation, even though silence never solved anything. While I sat there waiting for news, I kept replaying memories I hadn't thought about in years. And suddenly I wasn't remembering the arguments anymore. I was remembering him carrying me home when I fell asleep in the backseat. I was remembering him leaving before sunrise every morning. I was remembering the way he always pretended he wasn't tired, even when exhaustion was written across his face. The bass started rolling through my headphones because I needed something louder than my thoughts, and the rhythm echoed through the waiting room while fear sat beside me like an unwanted passenger. And that's when I realized how many things people leave unsaid because they assume tomorrow is guaranteed, and tomorrow is the biggest promise nobody can actually make. Band for band, but the pressure hit different because no amount of pride matters when somebody you love is lying behind a hospital door. And no argument feels important when you're wondering whether you'll ever get another chance to finish the conversation, and every excuse suddenly sounds ridiculous when compared to regret. Hours passed and the daylight faded, and the city lights came alive outside the window, and every update felt like a lifetime apart from the last one. And every second forced me to face something I had been avoiding for years. Cause it's easy to act strong when life is predictable, and much harder when you're standing face to face with things you can't control. Now the rhythm starts building, and the thoughts start racing, and every memory starts connecting to another memory, because pressure has a way of stripping away everything unnecessary until only the truth remains, and the truth was simple. My father wasn't perfect and neither was I, but somewhere between all the mistakes and misunderstandings there was still love. And love doesn't disappear if a communication fails. When the doctor finally walked toward us, the entire world seemed to slow down, and every sound disappeared except the footsteps coming closer. And I remember holding my breath because sometimes one sentence can outweigh 1,000 others. And when he told us my father was going to survive, I felt relief hit harder than any fear that came before it. The city kept moving outside and the traffic kept flowing, and people kept living their lives without knowing anything had changed. But everything had changed for me because I walked into that hospital carrying years of resentment, and walked out carrying expectant instead. And perspective is dangerous, because once you see things clearly, you can never return to the comfort of misunderstanding. Years later I barely remember what we argued about, because most arguments expire faster than we think they will. But I still remember sitting beside his hospital bed, listening to the sound of machines, while realizing how quickly life can remind you what actually matters. And whenever I get caught chasing things that will matter 10 years from now, I think about that night and the lesson it left behind. Because success means nothing if the people you wanted to share with aren't there to see it. And pride is one of the most expensive things a person can never afford. Night bus hiss, and the whole road glisten. City lights dance on the cracked windshield, and I don't say much, because the loudest man in the room usually hiding something. I learned that young when the smiles look friendly and the motives look different. Now I read situations quicker than subtitles, and I trust patterns more than promises, because patterns repeat and promises vanish. Whole squad move with a calm type confidence, no extra talk and no random arrogance. Everybody wants the view from the summit, but nobody wants to climb through the weather. Nobody wants the nights when the plan looked broken and the future looked smaller than the pressure. I stayed there and kept building anyway, because direction matters more than speed when the road gets longer. Ooh. Black sky hanging above the overpass, while the traffic flow underneath like rivers. Every headlight got a different destination, and every destination got a different reason. Some chase status, and some chase attention, and some chase validation from strangers. I chase leverage, because leverage multiplies effort, and effort multiplies options, and options multiply freedom. Baseline creeping under the concrete, heartbeat sync with a kick when it lands. Whole atmosphere shift when the energy change. DNA moment when the pressure expand. Now every thought move faster than before, and every decision feel heavier than normal, because momentum arrived, and momentum always separates preparation from performance. Most people stop when the road get rough. Most people fold when the doubt get loud. Most people switch when the vision take longer than the timeline they imagine. I stayed focused because patience pays interest, and discipline compounds like numbers. Every lesson stacked on another lesson, and every small gain stacked on another gain, until the gap became visible. Band for band, but the energy measured. No fake threats and no forced aggression. Real confidence don't need permission, and real progress don't need announcements. I let results do the conversation while I keep moving through situations. Every setback turned into information, and every obstacle became navigation. Now the rhythm rise and the cadence tighten, and the structures start changing shape. Every line connect to another line, and every layer connect to another layer. Rapid progression and constant adaptation, because standing still never built anything worth keeping. Movement creates possibility, and possibility creates expansion. Fast pace now, sharp focus now, no breaks now, full motion now. Every second got value attached, and every choice got consequence attached, and every risk got a lesson attached. That's why the rise never happened by chance. That's why the confidence came from action, not from talking. Clock keep moving and the city keep glowing, and the future stay hidden ahead, but hidden never meant impossible, it only meant undiscovered. And every horizon cross reveal another horizon waiting beyond it. So I keep going, cause growth was always the goal, and the goal keeps growing with me. Quick switch, quick step, quick mind, big plans, long road, no rest. Stay sharp, stay calm, move smart, stack wins, build more, learn more. Rise higher, think bigger, stay blocked, stay driven. No fear, no panic, just vision, precision, ambition, momentum, progression. Now the whole thing accelerate. Every sentence feeding another sentence. Every idea building another idea. Every challenge creating another challenge worth solving. Because pressure stopped feeling heavy and started feeling useful. And once that happened, everything changed. The skyline faded into the sunrise, and the road keeps stretching ahead. No finish line, no final chapter, no perfect ending waiting at the top. Just another level beyond the level, and another mountain beyond the mountain. And that's exactly why I'm still moving. Summer heat was hanging over the neighborhood when the old grocery store at the end of the street finally closed its doors. And most people walked past without thinking much about it, because to them, it was just another small business disappearing. But to me it felt like watching a piece of my childhood disappear, because that store had been there longer than some of the buildings around it. And the owner knew almost everybody by name. Mr. Han opened that place before I was born, and spent decades standing behind the same counter, greeting the same customers and helping the same families. And when somebody couldn't afford groceries, he quietly wrote the amount in a notebook and told them to pay later. And somehow later always arrived, because trust was worth more back then than contracts. Business started slowing down when the giant supermarket opened across town, because convenience usually wins and price usually wins, and people rarely notice what they're losing while they're saving a little money. And every month there seemed to be fewer customers walking through the door, and more empty hours waiting behind the register. One afternoon I stopped by after work and found him sitting alone on a stool, staring at shelves that were only half full. And for the first time he looked tired in a way I had never seen before, because physical exhaustion disappears after rest, but disappointment stays awake much longer. And the silence inside that store felt strange, because I remembered when it used to be full of conversations and laughter. Bass drifted from a car parked outside, while sunlight came through the front window and covered the floor in long shadows. And for a moment everything felt frozen between past and future, because everybody knew the store was struggling, but nobody wanted to admit how the story would end. Band, 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 band for band. But the pressure felt different, because it wasn't about dreams getting bigger, it was about something valuable slowly disappearing. And watching that happen taught me that loss doesn't always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it arrives quietly, one customer at a time. Weeks passed and rumors spread, and eventually the closing announcement appeared on the front door. And suddenly people who hadn't visited in years started showing up, saying how sad it was, and talking about memories, and wishing things had turned out differently. And the irony was painful, because support arrived at the exact moment it could no longer change anything. Closing day felt heavier than anybody expected, because the line stretched outside the building, and people kept bringing flowers and cards and old photographs. And everybody wanted to say thank you for something they should have appreciated sooner. And watching that happen made me realize how often people wait until the end to express gratitude. Tears filled Mr. Han's eyes, when he looked around the store for the final time, because every shelf and every corner carried decades of memories. And suddenly the place stopped looking like a business and started looking like a lifetime of effort compressed into 4 walls. Pressure built inside my chest while I stood there, because the story felt bigger than one grocery store. It felt like a reminder that nothing stays forever, and that ordinary things often become important only after they're gone. And that realization hit harder than I expected. Months later, the building was empty and the sign had been removed, and somebody else eventually rented the space. But every time I walk past, I still look toward the front window, because habits survive longer than places do, and memories survive longer than both. Life kept moving the way life always does, and the neighborhood kept changing, and new businesses opened and old ones disappeared. But I never forgot that final day, because it taught me something important. And that's the fact that appreciation delayed too long eventually becomes regret. Years have gone by since then, and I still think about that store. Whenever somebody tells me they'll call a friend later, or visit a parent next month, or thank somebody another time. Because another time is never guaranteed, and opportunities often disappear quietly before anyone realizes they're running out. And the lesson left behind by that little grocery store still follows me everywhere, because the things that matter most are usually the things people assume will always be there.
Walked in with a calm face. Walked in with a calm face. Walked in with a calm face, but the whole place shifted. I was built from the pressure they folded under, while I treated every setback like conditioning. Everybody got opinions till the situation turns critical, and suddenly the confidence missing. I don't waste energy proving I'm different, because the results keep speaking before I even enter the building. Back then they laughed on the vision, sounded bigger than the room could handle. Now the same people watching every move, trying to understand how the plan got assembled. I stayed dangerous with patience, stayed focused through phases, stayed moving through mazes, while they kept changing directions, chasing attention, breaking momentum, making excuses and calling it effort. I don't move loud, I move precise, every step calculated like money on a ledger. Every risk measured, every lesson treasured, every scar turned into something that made me better. You can hear it in the cadence, feel it in the tension, see it in the way they freeze when the name gets mentioned. I don't need validation from strangers, because I already survived situations that would've broken their spirit. Too many actors playing bosses, too many captions pretending they're ruthless, too many chains on watches covering insecurities nobody notices. I can see through the image, see through the gimmick, see through the stories they built for the internet. Because when the pressure arises and the lights disappear, character becomes the only thing left. Now the pace getting faster, the flow getting sharper, the room getting smaller, the target getting larger. Every competitor looking exhausted while I keep adding another chapter, another layer. Another reason they panic whenever they hear that bass through the speaker. I came from the side where nobody expected success, where every dream sounded unrealistic, and every ambition got questioned. So I learned how to build without applause, learn how to win without attention, learn how to stay dangerous in silence, while everybody else was busy announcing intentions. Run that back because they missed it. I was never interested in temporary hyper off official status. I wanted something lasting, something massive, something they couldn't copy after watching for 5 minutes. That's the difference, that's the distance between talking and living, between posting and building, between wanting and doing. I was straight pressure, straight motion, straight focus, no slowing, no folding, no hoping somebody opened the door, because I already kicked mine open. Every doubt got buried, every obstacle carried, every challenge turned into fuel for another level they said was impossible. When they ask what changed, tell them nothing changed except the scale. The hunger stayed, the discipline stayed, the work stayed, the vision stayed. And that's exactly why the scoreboard changed. Yeah. Walked in with a calm face. Walked in with a calm face. Yeah. Walked in with a calm face. Whole place got awkward.
They were all talking big till the real work started. I was outside building while they stayed guarded, drawing up dreams but they never departed. I don't relate to the noise they created. I put in the hours and stay concentrated. They wanted attention, I wanted progression. That's why every move that I make gets celebrated. Funny how people get loud when they're distant, suddenly quiet when pressure is present. Claiming they're dangerous, making it famous, but folding a second, the challenge is genuine. I studied the angles, the habits, the patterns, the way that they panic when comfort is absent. I never depended on luck or a shortcut. I built every level through action and practice. Back then they laughed when I mapped out a vision. Now they're surprised that the vision got larger. Every dismissal just added more fuel, and every obstacle sharpened the armor. I kept advancing regardless of weather, regardless of losses, regardless of doubts. Now every room that I step in can feel it. The energy different the moment I'm out there. Too many talkers, not enough walkers. Too many bosses that never built anything. Too many promises floating around, but the proof disappears when it's time to bring evidence. I don't get caught in the performance. I care about progress and permanent leverage. I care about growth that survives every season. No hype that collapses the second it's tested. Every day felt like a race with myself, and I hated the thought of remaining the same. Watching the clock while improving the craft and refining the parts that were needing to change. They wanted comfort, I wanted momentum. They wanted applause, I wanted development. Now when they look at the distance I've covered, they act like the outcome was somehow irrelevant. Nah, I remember the nights when the lights stayed dim and the odds looked bigger than every ambition. Nobody clapping, nobody watching, nobody caring if I kept the mission. That's why the confidence different. It came from surviving conditions that forced adaptation. Not from a caption, not from approval, not from a temporary validation. I see them chasing a shortcut again, looking for tricks and the magical answers, skipping the process and wondering later why nothing they touch ever turns into standards. Meanwhile I'm stuck in another improvement, another adjustment, another advancement, making it harder for anybody doubting to question the path that I'm taking. Whole lot of talking, whole lot of posting, whole lot of acting important for cameras, whole lot of flexing with nothing behind it, a castle of smoke disappearing from pressure. I learned to separate real from illusion, substance from surface, results from assumptions. Now every decision is based on execution and not on a random discussion. Hey. Foot on the gas but the focus is steady. Never been desperate, never been messy. Always been ready to level up heavy whenever a challenge was sent to address me. I treat every setback like part of the training, every mistake like a lesson in progress, every delay like a test of my patience, every success like a reason for more steps. Look at the climb and the time and the line and the work and the purpose are finally matching. Years of investment are starting to blossom, and people pretending they knew what would happen. No, they did not, they were watching and doubting, counting me out and expecting a crash. Now they keep watching the borders it changes and wondering how I keep adding to doubt. I got a mindset that's built for the distance, not for a moment, a trend or a season, not for a headline, not for attention, not for a crowd that's just searching for reasons. Built for the mornings when motivation vanishes, built for the nights when the pressure increases, built for the moments where discipline matters and comfort is begging for pieces. So let them stare and let them compare and let them debate every move that I'm making. I got no time for the drama, I'm focused on building a future that's bigger than statements. Every day stronger, every day sharper, every day closer to something substantial. While they keep circling back to excuses, I'm moving ahead and the gap is exponential. Still listening. Yeah. Yeah. Started with doubt in the air in a room full of people convinced I would never go far. Now they're revisiting every opinion they made when they thought I was chasing a star. Funny how confidence changes the language of people who swore that the mission was flawed. Now they keep watching the scoreboard, wondering why I keep raising the bar. I was invisible back when the effort was heavy and nobody cared for the outcome. Building a future from pieces and pressure while carrying weight that would bury a loud one. Every delay became part of the blueprint, every mistake became part of the knowledge. Every rejection was adding a layer of strength and expanding the size of the target. They wanted comfort and safety and certainty, I wanted growth and uncertainty. I wanted days where the challenge was bigger than anything sitting in front of me currently. That's why the hunger is different, the energy different, the focus is locked and persistent. I never depended on luck or approval, I built it through repetition and distance. Whole lot of talking and claiming and framing themselves as the greatest to ever appear. Whole lot of posing and hoping the image survives when the pressure is suddenly near. I see through every performance, every distortion, every attempt to importance. Because when it's time to produce something real, all the noise disappears without warning. I got no interest in copying waves or repeating the formula somebody invented. I'd rather be building a lane from the ground and be trapped in a trend that was already ended. Look at the way that they follow each other, recycling ideas and calling it progress. Meanwhile I'm taking a risk every day and converting that risk into something impressive. Back when they laughed I was learning, back when they doubted I stayed in the process. Back when they slept I was turning frustration and setbacks into an asset. Now every step got precision, every decision got purpose behind it. Every objective gets treated like something that absolutely has to be conquered. I don't move reckless, I move with direction, I move with intention and clear expectations. I study the patterns, the habits, the cycles that keep people stuck in the same situation. Then I broke out of every limitation they handed me wrapped as a reasonable statement. Now Now they keep asking what changed, and I tell them the answer was simple: dedication. Nothing was given, nothing was gifted, nothing was handed directly to me. I had to earn every inch of the position and every opportunity currently seen. That's why the mindset is different, because I remember the days when the vision existed, but nobody else could see it. Too many waiting for perfect conditions, too many searching for magical timing, too many talking about future success while avoiding the work that success is requiring. I got tired of hearing excuses repeated and dressed up as logical thinking, because every excuse gets weaker the second the person decides that they're willing. Now when I enter the room there is tension, because people can sense what I'm bringing, not because I'm loud but because of the standard that's shown in the work I'm delivering. Excellence leaves an impression, consistency leaves a signature pattern, and once you establish that level repeatedly, everybody notices it happens. Every year sharper, every year smarter, every year harder to catch from behind. Cause why they debating and hesitating, I'm already improving 100 more times. Every day counts and I'm counting the move, treating each hour like part of the climb, knowing that small improvements repeated for years become something impossible to hide. So keep the opinions and keep the assumptions and keep every comment you wanted to throw. None of it changes the path that I'm on or the pace that I'm choosing to go. I got my eyes on the future, my hands on the work and my focus intact, and every prediction they made about failure keeps breaking apart when confronted with facts. Built from persistence, driven by purpose, fueled by a vision too vivid to quit. Learn that the loudest are rarely the strongest, and proof is the language that actually hits. Now I keep moving with calm determination while others get caught in the theater and hide, because at the end of the day only results decide who was talking and who was right.